Hey, hey, what is going on, YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe, Nile Scala here, and I am pumped. Billy, my man, it is freaking Wednesday night, and we got another awesome show. How are
Yes,
you
we
doing,
do.
brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm a little stressed out with work. From the Comic Cons and all that jazz. You know how it goes. And but I was talking to TE and just things get a little nuts after San Diego. You play big catch up because you spend so much time prepping for that show, and then once it's over, then reality hits, and you got to get all stuff done. So I'm
Oh,
actually
yeah.
working on our variant cover for the New York Comic Con now.
Yes, and I saw you were putting some sneak peeks up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I think
Yeah,
it's looking good, brother.
thank you very much. And I just think it's it's going to be a crazy 48 hours for our 48th show,
I
right?
know. Insane, man. But I do have to ask, but I have to ask this one question.
Okay.
So this Raggedy Ann and Andy inspired cover, I mean, how did you come up with this?
Oh my God. I'll tell you that's a thing for another story, but it's not Raggedy Ann and Handy. You make me laugh and know who that is because you're so young.
Hey, it's great. You know what? I grew up, my grandparents had the dolls, and that's how I knew. I knew
Nice.
who they were. But
Uh,
man, let's get right into it,
yeah,
right,
let's
Billy?
get
We
into
got a
it. So,
great show.
we went
Great.
real late last time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So let's make. Hopefully, I'm sure our guests don't like to go super late like we do. We just keep asking them questions. So and by orders of the wife, she's like, you guys got to make the show shorter. She's like, got to make it shorter. So maybe we can get more stealthy and more streamlined, if you will. But
Yeah, we'll be better interviewers. We'll try to stay on task, but we can't always promise anything. So, greeting crowdfunding centurions and crusaders all over the world. Tonight we have two guests joining us. They have ridden on chariots being pulled by giant cats, wielded gauntlets with magical powers, and kicked some ass while the government argued with one another. Let us welcome T. Marshall and Rod Luper to the show. Guys, how are we doing?
What's up? What's up?
What's up, fellas?
Oh man, it
What's
is an
up?
honor to have you guys on the show, and I'm so happy we finally have you. We've had to reschedule a couple times, but man, this is going to be great. We're so excited to talk about the book you guys have done and are currently working on. From your writing to the art to everything you awesome creators are doing. But first and foremost, man, I want to know about you guys. I need to know more about Mr. T. Marshall, Mr. Rod Luper. I mean, let's get your origin stories, from wee little lads to where you are now. Let's start with Mr. Rod Luper.
All right. Well, I'm in this field of comic book creation for more than 20 years right now. I started work with 18 years old back in Brazil doing some comic books. I did some Star Wars books. I did filling for Ghost, Dungeons and Dragons, and I worked mostly with independent authors around the world, for
Mm-hmm.
France, for USA, Alaska, whatever. I started to get those gigs in the old digital webbing website. I don't know if you remember of this site. They had a forum looking for artists,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get some gigs there. And I released some comic books here in Brazil because I'm from Brazil, São Paulo.
So you've made us international now. We are international because we have our guest Rod Luper from Brazil, man.
Yeah, international. Conquer the world.
Conquering the
There you
world.
go, bro.
Yeah, and I stayed in this field for almost 10 years, and then I discovered the video game field in the concept art org forum. I saw some awesome concept art, and my mind start to think about
Mm-hmm.
another kind of challenge in art, and I start to go in that direction for concept art, and I end up working Australia for 2 years as a concept art character.
Did you move to Australia?
Yeah, I
Oh,
moved there
Wow.
with my ex-wife, and we lived there for 2 years, working exclusive with concept art.
That's very
And
cool.
it was really, really good experience because Australia is very similar to Brazil in like weather, the kind of people, the kind of friendly people that you have there. You can find many Brazilian live there.
Oh, there is. Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, yeah, very, very, very. And after that, I came back and I still been working with concept art for some video game companies for more than 4 years. And recently, I start to get back to comic books because comic books and tell stories is my first passion in art. Yeah, and then I start to build up my portfolio again, post some things in here and there on DeviantArt, on Instagram, until I get some gigs again in US, and I was invited by Antonio Malpica to work on Detective Dead graphic novel. And he released on Indiegogo too, and we had a very successful campaign. We achieved $36,000.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for the graphic novel, and I made some concept art for the characters and some pages, and there Marshall find me there in my work and get in contact with me and say, hey, look, can you draw 2 books at the same time? I say, oh, man, this is insane. And draw 1 book is already insane. Drawn 2 is crazy, but
Yeah.
I love.
You don't. What is sleep, right? You don't need that. Just keep working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to take care of your kids. You don't need to
No.
play video games, watching Netflix, whatever.
Yeah, you don't
for
need any
sleep.
of that. And
You need to draw.
multitask.
Yeah, draw all the time.
Yeah. That's what feet are for. Learn how to play the controller with your feet, so you're drawing and playing. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. And then Travis invited me. I like a lot of the project, the story, because it's a mix of sci-fi and fantasy kind of story. And he's very nice person to work, very creatively, very open mind. And he already came to Brazil because of his work, because he's still working with video game companies. And we
very cool.
get along together because of that, because he also have a lot of experience working in video game companies. And now we are trying to get funders for the first issue of Blue Bastion.
Oh, very good. So, Mr. Marshall, tell us your origin story, man. How did you get into all this?
Oh yeah, so I'm a sci-fi fanboy since I was very little. First one was The Matrix, I think, when I was in 5th grade. It took me a couple times before I realized what was actually going on in that movie. And it was just like every sci-fi fantasy from there. I just ate them all up. My dad built like a movie theater into our house, like a little mini theater. We used to watch all the movies, and I'd play video games in there. Right after I got out of college, I started working in games. I produced and wrote and designed Facebook and mobile games for 3 years, and then I went to UCLA Film School. So I really wanted to make movies. Then I realized it's very hard to get into movies.
Yeah.
I went back to video games. So I've been working in video games since then, and I started realizing you can tell great stories with great worlds on a low budget in the medium of comic books. So I started writing this comic series called Blue Bastion in my free time. And after about 6 months to 8 months of developing, I went online I didn't know anybody. I went online to figure out, how do I get this drawn? And I found Rod posting on Reddit, and then I clicked his Instagram, and I loved the work he'd done, and I reached out to him. I immediately connected with him. We started creating concepts. And from there, I realized there's this whole world of comic book artists online and on Instagram, and I started posting 3 art pieces a day on Instagram on one of my accounts. And since the last 6 months, I've gotten almost 8,000 followers doing that. And I've met probably 10 to 20 different artists, and they help create all these promotional posters for Blue Bastion. And I'm kind of expanding from there and really enjoying bringing these worlds to life. Being the game designer, it's easy to conceptualize these big worlds, and I really bring that to the work, and it's just been a blast seeing Rod bring the vision to life, and we have a very great development process. That first Rod draws the concepts, and then we have an inker named Carlos Eduardo who inks Rod's work. We have a colorist named Artesita who colors, and then we have Priscilla Souza as our letterer. So we have this very nice team, and they're all located in Brazil. Actually, my current girlfriend, I'm like first, I guess, got together with her in Brazil, so it means a lot to me. So it meant a lot that I found a Brazilian art team that could help me bring this world to life. And work doing video games. When I'm not there, I do the comic book stuff, and I'm excited about what we've been doing here.
That's awesome. Now, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, what kind of video games do you work on? I mean, you know, as we get to know you a little bit, you know, I'd love to know that video game creator side of you.
Yeah, so I started right after college as like a slot machine tester, because you got to start at the bottom level.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that was a job.
I basically got paid to put fake vouchers in these slot machines and just click the button and see what bucks. And it's a crapshoot, you know? You don't really win very often.
Right.
When I go to casinos, I like playing the blackjack instead. It's a little better odds.
Yeah.
So from that, I took all the money I was making. I made this video game. I made a whole website. And then Disney noticed, and they hired me to one of their studios down in San Diego, and I was the lead content creator. It was this Facebook game where you created an estate in New Orleans, and it was haunted by ghosts. Nice. I got to write the Ghost of the Week episode. I did that for about a year. And from there, I went to UCLA. After UCLA, I worked on the Injustice mobile game, so for DC. Mm-hmm. And from there, I went back to Disney, and I worked on a few Disney games. So I've been involved with all these IP holders, and I've really learned a lot from a lot of the producers and directors, working with them to create their characters in game form. And I realized I really enjoyed creating my own worlds, and I wanted to establish my own, you know, intellectual property in a cool sci-fi fantasy world. That's kind of where Blue Bastion came from.
Very cool. And Mandy Summers in our chat just brought up a good observation. You know, what'd she say here? We got Rod kind of looks like James Franco, which isn't a bad thing.
And James Franco was my teacher too.
What's that?
James Franco was one of my teachers at UCLA, which is pretty funny that she thinks.
That's awesome.
There you go. It was me, my friend.
That's how I knew. That's why I gravitated to Rod.
Actor skills.
Mm-hmm.
He can be anything.
Yeah.
Not just art skills, because this book is beautiful. Oh my God.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah. So Rod, I mean, well, actually, this is kind of a question for both of you. I mean, Marshall, as a writer and Rod as an artist, I mean, what inspired the style of this book?
I think Marshall asked me. Lately I like a lot of put many dark shadows like Mike Mignola work. Mm-hmm. I wish I could draw just a face and the rest all black. You know what I mean? I'm on that, trying to go to that direction, but he asked me to let a little bit clear. And I said to him, man, but do you need to write some part of the text that I can play around of those shadows, and we will have this in the story? Mm-hmm. So it was a little challenge for me, because I had to reformulate my style a little bit for the comic, because the fantasy and sci-fi world ask for this kind of bright colors and effects. So I think it won't be too cool if we go on to do that direction of too many black scenes or dark scenes. Mm-hmm. And this is a new direction for me, and me as an artist felt like a challenge. I don't know if with Billy is the same, but I get bored very fast when I draw.
Fine. I mean, I think that's real brave. Like, the Mignolo way to use that, the chiaroscuro, to throw that in.
Yeah.
Do those work with those heavy blacks. I mean, that's super brave. I'm terrified of it. I'm terrified of shadows, and I think that's one of the reasons why. And I'm going back to like art school, and I think that's one of the reasons why I gravitated towards the Japanese woodblock prints, because there is so few shadows. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of lighting. It's just basically two-dimensional, like early comics and stuff. And I'm just always in awe of someone that goes that way, that actually has the confidence to do it. And TE, I mean, you're lucky to have an artist that wants to embrace that, because I don't know too many that do.
Yeah, I was just blown away with what Rod's done.
Yeah.
I sent him all sorts of references, and we spent a long time developing, and I didn't know what to expect with the first page, but it just blew me away, and really can't wait to see more pages. We're going to start next week on the next set.
And one of the things that I felt comfortable to not put some dark shadows on the character, on the background, is because I trust very much in the colorist, because he's an old friend of mine of 20 years, and he paints, he's fine artist, he does comic concepts, so he understands very well. When I let a line in a face, he knows where to put the lights with the color. So I felt that's the way the art you work. And it have been very fun, because in the story, Marshall can tell about the story a little bit, but I will have to draw many animals. And this is not something that we see in the comic books. Mainly in American comic books is more like superhero guys, strong guys, and hot girls. So we'll have a lot of, and this is something that come from Video Game Mind too. Video Game Mind, and I was talking with another artist too. Nowadays in comic book, we need to think how to grab the attention from the youngest readers, and we are competing with video game now. So what we create on a comic book, it needs to be beyond video games. You need to have ideas crazy as possible, because video game is taking everything for the youngest reader. An example for that, I have a nephew, and had 10 years old, and he came with me and say, "Oh, look, I discovered Supergirl. It's a series on Netflix." I say, "Oh yeah, it's a series. Come with me." I take to a comic book shop and I show, "Look, it came from here for a comic book." So we have a whole generation that don't care about comic book anymore. They have superhero on television, on movie, on video games. So we need to change how you need to think how to grab the attention from the young readers. And I think Blue Bastion have something connected with video game kind of feeling. We're trying to mix both video games and comic books storytelling.
Yeah, and I think that's a great observation, because I mean, even if you look at the numbers, right? Movies, comic books, things like that. Video games are now hitting those points even higher.
Totally.
It's crazy.
Totally. The money on video game is higher than music in Hollywood, man. It's huge. It's huge.
That's what I heard too. My buddy used to run IDOS, and he was responsible for making Tomb Raider huge.
That's cool.
And he would tell me, like, he's like, there's so much more money. And guys that work on video games, a lot of my friends, I have yet to do one. I designed characters like 23 years ago or so for Sony one time. But like my friends who get a chance to write video games, like Jimmy Palmiotti and stuff, they pay so well. I mean, are you working on it? Do you write video game stories too? Like, what do you do for them now yourself in the video game market?
So for me, I used to write. I haven't written much anymore. These days, I've been mostly promoting games for the company.
Nice.
They fly me around to different conventions, and then I help promote the games. I also just play them a lot and give recommendations on how to improve them. It's more of a product management style role.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of gets me day to day, and then when I'm not there, I can focus on the comic stuff.
Yeah. So you're almost like Tom Hanks in Big.
I play games all day when I'm not working on the comics. Yes, I'm like a big little kid.
Is that why you were in San Diego? Was for the games?
No, that was my first Comic-Con. Actually, it all happened last minute. I reached out to this journalist, and he wrote an article about Blue Bastion, and he called me. It was the Sunday before Comic-Con. He was like, I have an extra pass. Do you want to go to Comic-Con? And I was like, sure. And then I drove down like 3 days later.
Wow, so you're not the most hated man in America right now that someone just offered you a pass to that.
It was just like the timing was just, I guess, meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Absolutely it was. Lucky you.
And then up in one of the panels, and there you are, Billy. And I had just booked an interview with Nile, and it just was, it just linked like that.
Yeah. Well, we're glad, and thank you for coming to that. That was a lot of fun, and that was just, as we were saying before, that was just nuts. That show is still a blur. As I was saying earlier in the intro. Because you just come back to reality, and there's just so much to do, and you just got to play catch up. So that's what it is, and it's and I mean, look, you guys know you're doing this now. You're running a campaign. And it's nonstop, right? I mean, it's just there's just so many elements to it, and it's good that you're a marketing guy too, because so many people are terrified of doing that. And I think that's probably the hardest part. Aside, well, obviously you need a good story, you need good art, but the promotion part, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
It's nonstop. I mean, shoot, even for this show, I mean, you're constantly like on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You're just constantly trying to stay, at the top of everyone's feed, right? So they keep seeing you. So
yeah.
It's a tiring thing. But actually, Rod, you were talking about something, and I hate to jump back, but I want to, because as an artist and stuff, you were bringing up something about how you may get bored working on a project. Am I right? You were leaning into that, because I struggle with that at times too. But I would love to see have you elaborate more on what you were going to say.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the format of America comic book with 23 pages generally is very right for me. Mm-hmm. I'm working in Detective Daddy. That is an awesome story. Awesome. I have a freedom that I never had to work, but the comic book have 100 pages. Mm-hmm. So, man, it's a long run. It's a long run for me. So I try to maintain myself entertaining. Mm-hmm. So I like to work in two projects at the same time, if I have the deadline possible to do that. This is why I get some small gigs here and there with Detective Dead, and this is why I get Blue Bastion too, because my mind, I can't focus too much for a long time. I don't know why, but I don't know if this started early or if it was after the internet and video games. Mm-hmm. Our mind gets crazy because it's too many informations at the same time.
Oh yeah.
This is something that I'm trying to get. I know that is essential for a campaign on Indiegogo get successful, the marketing, mm-hmm. but I'm trying to get away from social media a little bit because it's too many informations.
Yeah.
It's too many information going. So yeah, I'm trying to focus more. No, on morning I'm working only on Detective Dead. On afternoon I'm working on Blue Bastion pages, or I do sketches for myself. If I really don't understand how people can for instance, working Spider-Man for 3 years,
Yeah.
no stop, man, I would be crazy, dude.
Yeah,
I'd be
it is.
crazy for
It's I gotta tell you though, because I just did She exclusively for a decade. That's all I worked on. And
oh my God.
yeah, but it's a little different when it's, well, I would have other ideas and stuff, but it's a little different when it's your own creation as opposed to working
Right.
with DC.
Totally right. Totally
Yeah.
right.
Right?
Totally
And
right.
I mean, you could attest to this. When you're working on something that you create, there is a difference. And I remember, and I'll drop a name here, we were hanging out with Charles Schultz's widow, Jeannie Schultz.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her, I said, how did he just do Peanuts for 50 years?
Yeah.
Like, that's how, because I would come up with ideas, 2 years later or a year later, I'm coming up with a new story idea for a new characters or something. And Jeannie said, oh, no, he came up with a lot of ideas. He wanted to do more. And I told him no. So she's like, oh, do this. This is the bread and butter. You work on this, which is kind of funny, actually, because you do need that sanity there. I guess all of us as creative people, to have that little, that little bit of, like normalcy thrown into your life, because it is a fun existence, and we are living in, in like a fantasy world, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know. Recently, I don't know if it could be because of my age or whatever, or many years working with comics, but I have a lot of joy right now writing stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing another story with another guy, maybe for a campaign 2 after Blue Bastion. So I having a lot of ideas, and I like to write 2-3 stories. Man, I'm crazy. I should stay in one project, but man, I get bored, man. I don't know why. Man. I don't know why. This is why I ask for Marshall, man. Keep me challenging. Keep me challenging all the time. If you think a crazy page, let me do that. Whatever, because I'm get bored.
So do you go out of your way, Marshall? Keep Rod entertained, keep him challenged, keep him moving.
Keep on firing. Yeah, keep on firing.
Yeah, that's why we invented the Gauntlets.
Mm.
They're gonna do a lot. I'm gonna keep throwing things at Rod to challenge him even more.
Awesome.
Now,
Yeah.
Travis, do you like us to refer to you as Marshall, as TE? How do you like to be called?
For this, we can keep it casual. You call me Travis. TE's like the way of seeming like a legit science fiction writer. With a serious name. But yeah, Travis or Marshall. When I played football, they called me Marshall. But I go by Travis day to day.
This is something funny, because in Brazil we always call each other by the first name. And in US you call each other by the last name, right? It's Marshall, Scala, Tucci.
Well,
we do that a lot, actually.
It's in my phone as Scala, and when he picks it up. And we have nicknames, right, Matthew? You have a nickname? It's my son Matthew's playing back here on video games. You have a nickname at school? Like, do people call you Tooch?
Yes, and a bunch of people call me, last year it was really annoying. Everyone called me Gucci Tucci.
Oh, okay, Gucci
Tucci.
Well, my nickname, was Tooch. It became Tooch. And even in the service, when I was in the service, and I see my buddies from the Army still, and they still like, Tucci, what do you do? You still refer to each other by the last name, which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
cool.
It's true, though, yeah. Tucci.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
I call half my buddies by just their last names.
So so we should Americanize you, Rod, and call you
What up, Luper?
Luper, what up, Lupe?
Ooh, whatever.
Lupa Doop.
Lupa Doop.
Lupa Doop.
Yeah, Lupa Doop. I like it.
All right, so we got Lupa Doop in the house.
Yeah. Luper Duper in the hissy.
Hey, before, so I'd love to.
My son just said Super Looper.
There you go.
This is the one, Super Looper.
Super
this
Looper.
Is the one.
Dude, Super Looper's badass. That's what we're gonna call you.
Badass. I will make a logo with that.
There you go.
There you
Super
go.
Looper.
All right, Marshall, it's Super Looper now.
Super Looper.
Super Luper's part of the team of the Bastion. So before we get into, I got to start, we've been talking about this, and we got to, present this to the people out there. We got to show them what you guys have going on. But I just want to give a quick shout out. The Red Gaze did give us a nice super chat, and his super chat was calling out Mandy Summers, who moderates our chat, along with Amazing Frank, and she's just amazing out there, keeping things going. She's posting links to your guys' Indiegogo, so definitely she's great. She's great out there. So let's get into it, guys. Let's check this out. Boom. We've got it.
There we go.
There we go. And look at me. We actually have last night's guest stuff up here. So let me just get rid of that.
Come on, man.
Ah, man. I was rushing. So, guys, let's check out. Let's check out the video for Blue Bastion comic series. Wow, man, this is your art. The art is fantastic. I mean, you guys gotta, we gotta get into the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah, that art,
Thanks, bro.
what a beautiful book.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so Travis, give us the rundown on your creation, brother.
Yeah, so Euclid Cypher is the hero of Blue Bastion. He's actually based on the tarot card, the Chariot. I started really enjoying the art of tarot cards, and I was looking at them and thinking it would be interesting to use them as a basis to create some characters that could live in this brand new world. And what I wanted to do was develop a brand new form of technology that was almost a metaphor for, you know, the way smartphones are utilized. And so there are no phones in Blue Bastion. Everyone has a gauntlet on both arms. And these gauntlets could channel all sorts of different elemental spells. And the way they work is I built in almost a social political struggle in which the citizens in Capital City rely on grain cores as a resource to power their gauntlets. However, the grain cores are harvested by slaves down in the grain fields. And so there's a government in Blue Bastion trying to replace the power source with something more sustainable. But the traders who actually harvest these are resistant to this idea, while other more diabolical characters want to steal this technology for their own nefarious means. And one of the central themes here is Blue Bastion's run by these 6 elders in Capital City and 1 king. And to become king, you have to win this chariot race. And it's a 3-year-long championship where every race someone gets eliminated until there's one last man standing. So we enter the series as a new king is elected, and then we follow Euclid as he begins in the first race. And we're going to follow him for the next 3 years as he tries to win the Path to Kingship race to become king. We're also going to see how the government and the elders are struggling with all sorts of threats that are inside the capital and outside. And my plan was to start with Euclid here and slowly introduce one character after another, similar to like Game of Thrones, so we can build out this world where all sorts of characters are represented for all sorts of types of people. And I want to see what happens when you have access to magic, when everyone can do magic. Basically, with your light gauntlet, you can summon these artificial construct animals. And so you use those to pull your chariot, you use those to ride around the city. There's no concept of cars here in Blue Bastion. So when everybody has a little bit of a superpower, it can be hard to maintain the peace. And we're going to see how that all plays out one episode to the next. You can see, obviously, there's some inspiration from the Roman era. That's one of my favorite historical times. I listen to a lot of podcasts on the way Rome was ran, and I wanted to take a little slice of that. Another inspiration is Plato in his book, The Republic. He describes what he thinks a perfect society would look like, and so I kind of crafted a world that follows that idea and sees how it might not be all that perfect when it's like practically orchestrated. And so I basically started with the one character, Euclid. I had Rod develop multiple concepts for him. Before we drew one page, we explored 6 to 7 different looks with different hairstyles, different color schemes, and we arrived at this character. And from there, we decided we were going to flesh out some of the pages. And I actually reached out to all these artists on Instagram and had them create different posters for it. And so a lot of the different art you saw in the trailer are from some of the artists that I talked to on Instagram. In total, in the past, since January, we've worked with, there's Rod and the 3 other members of our team, and I've also worked with 5 other artists to do commission pieces. So we're approaching 9 different artists, 10 different artists who have helped so far. And I really enjoy, since I can't draw myself, giving people the opportunity to interpret our characters in their own style. And it's helped me visualize more and more about where we're going. And in terms of the story, I really got into Saga and Oblivion Song and Seven to Eternity. And those are 3 of my favorite books right now. So you have Remender, Brian K. Vaughan, and Robert Kirkman pieces all there. Those are some of my main inspirations I'm going towards. The tone. Go ahead.
I like a lot of this Oblivion Song, including the art and the colors. And I talk with Art Seed about the colors. It's so beautiful, man. Beautiful book.
Well, you could see that in your color palette. I mean, you're forging an epic. You know, most guys are doing smaller scale books. You know, guys and gals, and this is just an epic.
Yeah. I totally see this like a video game or movie kind of thing because it's very, very big. The story. I think that we are trying to publish this first issue. But as Travis said, it will be 7 issues for first volume. So we have a lot of story to tell.
Oh, yeah, you definitely do. I mean, especially with all the levels, and you can see how well thought out it is. So, just Travis, if I may, something I'm interested in, like the Republic by Plato. What is Plato's? What is that society that he like? If you can give us I guess what do they call? Whose notes are they? The Cliff's notes on a version of that, if you don't mind, because now you've piqued my interest because I'm just interested in things like that personally.
So back in the day when he wrote the Republic, he talked about how there's all sorts of different societies. They're typically run by different motivations. So this society was about removing the motivations and being run by what are called philosopher kings. So he said instead of having someone who's elected by people or in control of land or in control of wealth, that the government would be run by the most physically and mentally fit people in the society, and that you would have to go through a series of trials to become one of the chosen few who can sit in a seat, and that it wouldn't be run by one person or a committee that was elected easily. It was, you really have to work your way up there, and so that they would test your motivations to make sure you had this pure heart and you'd be balanced out by other people. But he even went so far as to say that censorship is completely fine, that most letting people freely express themselves would lead to destruction. So in his world, it's a world run by these perfect people, but it's a censored society that's only shown, positively reinforced ideas. And that's the part where I think it's a little too ideal, because I think there's always going to be people who rebel against that sort of controlling nature. So,
sure.
So we're going to see how this ideal society perhaps has some cracks in it.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that over time as we get into the way it's run.
Now, can you tell us about your cast?
My past in terms of
the cast of the book.
Your characters.
Yeah, like the 3 states. Tell us about like with the capital, the slums, the impact site. And then tell us about the actual characters too.
Yeah. So, in terms of the geography, so I spent time in Photoshop really figuring out how I could tell a story that I can contain. So I didn't create a world that I could lose track of. In Blue Bastion, it's a planet that is mostly water. And there's this one landmass, so there's no running across the ocean to another continent. Everybody is face to face, and the controlling body is the capital city, and they have 21 districts that have been acquired over time. They're kind of the ruling power. They have all the gauntlet technology. They're the general idea of an upper class. And then we have this area called the slums that's in the middle. This is where the middle to lower class citizens live, crammed together. They have older gauntlet technology, and they mostly act as traders. So they trade grain cores to the capital that the capital uses to power their gauntlets. And these grain cores are acquired through the grain fields, which is on the other side of a mountain range from capital city. And this is where slave labor is utilized. And there's this shaky relationship about how the capital is purchasing these grain cores from the slums, and they know that it's coming through this unethical means, but they don't want to start a war, and they don't have a better alternative. So they're purchasing the grain cores, but also looking for a way to improve, the way they power their gauntlets, since it's a necessity now. If all of a sudden gauntlets stopped working, everyone would lose their transportation, they'd lose their phones, they'd lose their entire way of life. So they really need the cores, but they don't necessarily like the method of harvesting. And then we have a mystery off to the east. There's the impact site.
Yeah.
The impact site's an area where about 2,000 years ago, a giant explosion happened and wiped out this entire area, and there's a giant crater there. And the historical records have gone missing. Nobody really knows how this explosion came to be, but it's seemingly abandoned, this crater. later on we'll find out that perhaps it's not so abandoned, but that's as we get further down the series.
Right.
That's the part that I want to draw. The mystery part.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's always the most fun.
What I did was put together an actual, I call it the World Bible. So it has each section, and then it has images of what the buildings look like, descriptions of what's going on there. And what we really want to get to is the point where we can have drawn everything in panels. So right now our pages are only set in the arena district, which is just one of the 21 districts. Mm-hmm. But we have the groundwork laid out for every other setting that we would like to go to as we progress through the storyline.
Yeah. Now, this is like, you guys have such a deep, like, and actually Paula Ritchie in the chat was saying, she really wants to know more about, big series arc. I mean, you have this massive story. I mean, how did you come up with this? How did you create this and maintain this massive world you've created?
So as a game designer in the past, like one of my jobs was to maintain a spreadsheet with like 21 tabs and 200 line items to generate all of the content for a video game that was week-to-week content over a year. So I'm very good at managing these large loads of information, and I've listened to a lot of history podcasts and read a lot about history. I've seen almost every good movie that exists, and I wanted to distill out of all that, this world and storyline that I identified with and I found interesting. And so I've found a way to now come in just with one character and his arc, and I have these other arcs that are going to branch out from there, with really Game of Thrones having inspired me recently on how you could do this.
Yeah, and this is something that we have in video games, because some video games can take 5 years to complete.
Yeah.
So on the video game that was working in Australia, Twilight, Edge of Twilight, it was something similar. It was a huge game and a pre-production just for the text and maps and organization of character took it 2 years. 2 years only writing. 2 years writing and researching and get characters. And then 1 year of concept art, 1.5 years. And then they start to make the 3D and animation and effects. So this was something good that Travis brought to Comic Book, because he came with everything in a structure, all the tests, all the map, all the city. Look, this is this part of the country. This is the part. This helps a lot for the artists, because sometimes in the comic book, because the production is small and we need to work fast, we start to learn about the character as we start to draw the comic book. I heard Dean Lee one time telling in an interview that even himself, that is a genius of comic book, he start to get comfort to work in the character by the number 5, issue 5 of the book, because it's the way of comic book. We don't have this kind of pre-production before you start to do a comic book. And this Travis bring for us in this project and help him a lot to getting in this universe, to understand this universe. And I say to him, I organize a folder in Drive, because this is something that we are usually to work in video game too. So I set up reference folder, JPG, everything organized to be better to work as we are usually to work in video game companies. It's all separate by steps, phase 1, concept art, phase 2, backgrounds, everything is separate.
I mean, Nile, this is giving me a great idea. I mean, this is a great show concept and learning educational concept of what they've done.
Yeah.
And Travis, you coming in to start this, and you're not an artist. Would you come back and we could maybe talk about this, you two, Rod, and talk about how to create a world and say, because there are a lot of people out there that want to do their crowdfunded books, but maybe they're not an artist and they don't know where to start. And maybe if you
for sure, man, for sure.
You know, the both of you, I mean, I think that would be a great show.
I think that would be a great show because, I mean, Travis, I mean, you're writing out what these worlds are, you know, in the universe you're creating, and Rod has to take that and take your words and make them visual. So I mean, I think that would be a great concept if you guys were interested in doing it.
Yeah, all the working in Photoshop and stuff. I think you could really help people with that. I mean, are you guys open to that? Coming, you know, on and doing that as well? You know, of course, right now the goal is to get funded. You know what I mean? It's to get the campaign going, to get your books going. But man, I think that would be a big thing for people.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Count with me. No worries.
Now, Rod, I know you're working on a couple things. Travis, I mean, not only creating this world that you're working on, are you also working on anything else outside of Blue Bastion?
There's one other comic series I'm doing that I'm not crowdfunding quite yet. That's so I can have something to do when I'm waiting for Rod to finish the pages. But that one is still in the pre-production. For now, I'm just really focused on Blue Bastion because we really like to finish this first issue, and we got a little ambitious making it a double issue, which requires a larger budget. We may have to scale back to a single size issue if a few months from now we haven't obtained the maximum funding amount. But this is really our focus right now. We'd like to get the launching point so everyone could buy into the world, and hopefully we can make this a long-term series. Rod mentioned 7 issues per volume. That's really our lucky number. The Chariot Tarot card is the number 7 card, so that's going to be one of the themes, is lucky number 7 here. We'd like to do 7 issues and 7 volumes to build out this arc. And aside from that, you know, there'll be other projects I'm announcing down the line, but for now, it's just all in on Blue Bastion.
Yeah. So you guys currently, right now, you're at 107 backers. You have 4 days left, and you guys have a pretty aggressive goal of 20,000. I think I asked you about this before we went on the air, but are you extending? I forget what you said. Are you extending this, or how are you guys going about this campaign?
So this campaign here is going to be the only way you're going to get a copy of Blue Bastion #1 with a metallic stamp on the cover. And that metallic stamp is a symbol of just collector's edition. Once this campaign ends, that specific version of the book will never be made again. From there, we're going to take the funds we've raised, we're going to turn them into pages, and then we're going to relaunch a new campaign with a new cover to continue the pages.
Nice.
And we'll let you know when that's ready, but we'll definitely be in the business of sharing our pages as they're coming together after this campaign closes.
Okay, so anyone that's backed the project right now will get their book.
Yes.
Excellent.
Smart. That's smart. And to give them that something special, that's really great too. You know, I that's a smart thing to do, and it also makes it special. You know, and that's what's cool about Indiegogo is that, you know, you could ask for, you know, X amount of dollars, and it's not an all or nothing if you don't choose it to be. You know, with the flexible goals, you don't have to do the all or nothing, because it is pretty terrifying, right? I mean, I don't know how many. This is your first campaign, Travis. So, you know, I don't know about you, but like I'm planning the She campaign now, and I'm freaking out already.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Need
never
to
did
market,
it.
man.
I
Need
really
to market everywhere.
I didn't think I did as much research as I probably should have, so I went in kind of just wanted to test the waters. It's been really great learning experience, but being on shows like this have helped a lot. This is our third.
For sure.
So now, what do you think now, Rod? I believe you've said you've done crowdfunding before. Travis, this is your first.
Yeah, this is my first one for a comic book. I only did like one other crowdfunding when I was in film school for a very small music video.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time I tried it with a comic book.
Nice. So what do you think of the process, man?
I've realized it really benefits to have a social media following that you've been building for a year or two. And I came in with 0 followers when I launched the campaign. So I felt like I was at a major disadvantage when I realized what people were really doing to get awareness. I didn't realize how much required to pull from outside the actual Indiegogo website. And so I started realizing I needed to reach out to more of these YouTube channels like you guys since I didn't have the social media following.
Mm-hmm. But you're seeing that grow now, right?
Yeah, so
Totally.
I've been getting more followers just on Twitter since I started posting about a month ago. And I get probably a follower or 2 every day now, just trying to figure out how to get out there and meet more people.
Yeah.
But Rod and I are generally pretty friendly guys, so we're finding it easy to, network.
Yeah, I try to market everywhere. On my Instagram, I have almost 11,000 followers. On Twitter,
Nice.
I have 600, and it start to grow again. And I do some videos, drawing videos on YouTube, or Rod Luper, and on my new YouTube channel with my friend Art Sida, named it 2D Art Channel, where we will give some tips of drawing, concept art, anatomy, everything.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And then how can, for Rod, how can people follow with what you're doing? I know you said you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram. I mean, what are your tags?
Yeah, on Instagram is my mailing one right now. So it's Rod_Looper. On Twitter is Rod.Looper. On YouTube, I have my own channel, Rod Luper, and 2D Art Channel. That I'm trying to invest because it's easier when you have a team like you guys on YouTube. So it's me and Art Sida. So we always putting new videos there on the channel.
Oh, very nice. I'll have to check that out.
Absolutely, yeah.
But Travis said something. Yeah, I don't know. Crowdfunding is a mystery for me, man, because I find some people that have 200 followers and rise up the money.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get it. So I don't know if only base it on followers, on the products, on the paid posted on Facebook. I don't know. So we actually, and what Travis did, I was invited for others campaign. In fact, I think you guys interview one of the guys that I drew the book was for the Divinate Factory from Preston.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm doing a piece for Preston too.
Yeah, I was the artist for the first issue, but then I get an offer from Detective Dad, and it was a huge work, 100 pages. And I said, man, I can't. And then, like 2-3 weeks after Travis came, I said, man, I can't draw 3 comic books at the same time. Plus, I do some storyboard for advertised companies too. It's insane. Some concept art. Man, I need to sleep sometime. You know what I mean?
I guess you deserve it.
I hope my wife's not watching this today. That you're drawing comics and and you sound like you're entertaining 3. Like I can't 3. I really if I wasn't designing this other stuff and working for this and working for that.
And it's still we still need to take care of a social media, man. That is a third job. You need to post on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. My God, man. I wish I could have someone to do that. I stay on my table drawing all day.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing about crowdfunding, man. You know, we've said on many shows, you know, when the marketing department's working, the shipping department's not. When the shipping
Yeah,
department's working, and
totally,
your art department's not. I mean, it's crazy, and
totally.
you know, but it's such a good community, and this is definitely the time, man. This is the
And
time to do it.
yeah, and I think it's like a wave. I don't know, Billy is the most experienced here, but I think it's like a new wave for comics, this kind of crowdfunding comics.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, man. I saw by the younger kid, I don't see younger kid going to comic books shops anymore. It's just guys like us, the old guys that go.
Yeah.
So this crowdfunding thing start to here and there start to get right for collectors, comic book collectors. So yeah, we are. This is how it's so difficult to understand because it's something new yet.
Yeah.
You did get it how it worked properly. We are trying here and there. This is work. This is doesn't work. Of course, like if you have 100,000 follower or 2 million follower like Piccolo had in Instagram, it's easy because it's but even so we are still learning how to do it properly, I think.
Yeah, it is kind of still a new frontier for a lot of people, but I think it's definitely the way to go. You know, it's it's like boutique comics, man. You know, it's something different, stylized. There's no one telling you what to do. You know, if Travis has an idea and he wants to give it to you, you guys do it your way. You don't have someone, an editor, or anyone breathing down your throat. Well, it can't look like this. And hey, can you draw like this person? And hey, can you do that? No, it's all yours. It's all yours. You own the rights to your characters. You own this. You own that. I mean, that's the way to do it. And if you're successful with it and you're putting out great products like what I'm seeing here, I mean, the sky's the limit for you guys. You know.
Yeah, totally.
And
I
it's
agree.
competitive, and as you guys can see, but you're doing it smart by having that special, the special edition. Yeah, I mean, sorry, with the metallic, what is it, metallic stamp on each book or metallic?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, whatever donation tier you enter in, we're going to stamp that logo onto the cover of your book just to show that was the one you backed. And we're only going to do that for this campaign.
Yeah, because collectors, and we had a discussion about this last week at Terrificon, or the week before, and to see how many people that are traditionally like comic shop customers, people that go to comic shops, and now the collectors, it's not just like fans who are coming, say, or supporters of a certain book or something like that, or a certain creator, you know what I mean? Say someone like Ethan, his fans from Green Lantern or from the Flash, they're buying his books. But now collectors are starting to see just how rare these books are. Like with the Zombie Sama campaign we had, I think that we printed 2,000 books total. That's it. So that's not a lot of books. And there's a couple of different variant covers with that. So I'm digging the idea. And again, this is all new territory for everyone. But I'm really starting to love it, seeing this. You know what I mean? The collector's market, the guys that normally will buy these high-end books are coming in to buy these crowdfunded books because they see how rare they all are.
Yeah, totally.
It's a different world now. Like before, currently, if you're buying a Marvel or DC comic or one of the big two, there's a lot of them, and all the characters are established, and there's this deep lore, and they've been around a long time. But this new flood of these crowdfunding books, there's a bunch of them, and it's this new age. A few of them are probably going to stick and may become bigger to Marvel and DC size over the next 20 or 30 years. So one of these crowdfunding books that's very rare could become Action Comics #1 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I wish I could buy the first issue of Walking Dead, man. I did buy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a zombie story in black and white.
Yeah.
And but the guy, I saw many interview from him, and then he told that he always thinking, all right, now the zombie take it all over the world. What happened next?
Yeah.
and he part of this story. What happened next, and build up something huge
Yeah,
with
he made
just one comic book.
a real human story. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
The cool thing is when you realize it now, like when you realize early on, and he's so good, Kirkman, the way he did it, was that The Walking Dead was actually the people. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Not
totally,
the
totally.
walkers.
Not the zooms. Yeah,
Yep, not the zombies
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, whoa, like you son of a bitch, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
That guy just made it, man. But hey, guys, this has been awesome. I love having you guys on the show. If you guys don't mind, if we could jump in, we got a few crowdfunding callouts. I'd like to give a shout out. Oh, we'd like to give a shout out to Englewood, which is live on Indiegogo right now. They have just surpassed their goal. They have 6 days left. If you guys want, we're going to take a second and we'll share the video for Englewood #1, A Hero is Born.
Whenever the chips come down, whenever things fall apart, sometimes all that it takes is one person to stand up to corruption and crime. My name is Micah Curtis, and I am the writer of the comic book Englewood. Now, what is Englewood, you might ask? Englewood is the story about a mixed martial arts champion, the baddest man on the planet, the premier martial artist in the world, Elijah Wallace, who was disgraced after his last fight defending his title. He has fallen low and decided to come back to the city of Chicago and help out people who need help, to humble himself and try to just be someone who does good. In the course of defending someone from a gang member, tragedy strikes his life and he decides to stand up against the violence, realizing that the only way to stop these people who know only force is to use force himself. The book, of course, for those who do not know, is edited by my podcast partner, Alex the Hatman Baldwin, and the art is being done by Brian Martinez of the Honey Badger Brigade, and also the colors are being done by Armand Strange. We are a group of guys who, well, this is our first comic book, and we are super excited to bring it to you. Keep in mind that this is step one. This is the origin story. This is the beginning of year one in the world of Englewood. And I hope you guys enjoy.
All right, there you guys have it. Englewood #1 by Micah Curtis. Get out there, check it out. They got 6 days left. See if you can get this over to some of their stretch goals. Great concept, great art. Micah's got a YouTube channel. You guys should check all that out. And we've got another call out tonight, and this is for a two-time guest of the show, a great friend of the show, Mr. Murat Michaels. Pray for the Sinner has 47 hours to go. Right now, they're currently at $27,804 for the $5,000 goal. He's got 47 hours. Murat is a gentleman, a true indie creator, doing his own thing out there. I'm going to play his quick video for you guys just so you can check out Pray for the Sinner. And like I said, head over to Kickstarter, check it out, and help support him in his last 47 hours.
Hey, welcome to the Pray for Sinner Kickstarter. This is a story that I've had kicking around in my head for quite a while now. It started off with a character design and a cool name for a book. At least I think it's a cool name. A little play on words. Pray, P-R-E-Y, for the Sinner. A story of revenge that spans the galaxies. As the story kind of grew in my head, I've added characters and layers to it. Finally, I had a story that I was super happy with. But I also knew with my insane schedule that there's no way I was going to be able to give this book the time it deserved as an artist. So enter my good buddy and great artist, Dietrich Smith. Dietrich's storytelling ability is second to none, and his meticulous attention to detail has definitely taken this book up a notch. You can check out some of the pages he's provided right here in this Kickstarter. I'm also super excited about the amazing array of cover artists we have for this book. For the first time, I've been able to work with Paulo Pantalena, Richard Ortiz, Mike Crome, and Jesse Weichman Their covers are fantastic. We also have some returning cover artists. Mike DeBalfo, Elias Chatzoudias, Ryan Kincaid, Nade Surdy, Dan Mendoza. Of course, I did a few covers myself. Super excited about some of our mid-campaign hyper infusions that you guys will be able to unlock. Those feature some of the biggest names in the comic book industry, guys that will blow your mind. I'm excited to bring you guys this tale of galactic cat and mouse, where who is the prey and who is the sinner is constantly changing, keeping you on your toes. Check out our pledge tiers. Thank you guys for your support and making this book a reality.
All right, guys, there you have it. From Mr. Michaels, Pray for the Sinner. If you can, check that out. Help get him over the edge. So, man, guys, this has been a freaking great show. Seriously. I love your story. I love what you guys are doing. I can't wait to see what you come up with as far as this journey. And I really would love to let's get that show going. Let's chat in the next couple days. And, you guys have created this whole world. This whole world. And I think, a lot of viewers, a lot of fans, people are interested in what you're doing, who want to do what you're doing. I mean, if you can share a little piece of that knowledge, I think that'd be something awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Cool. For sure.
Awesome, guys. Mr. Tucci.
And like I said, we know that there's a lot of crowdfunding campaigns out there, and if you guys don't have the funds, we get messages from people. Oh, I love this, but I'm tapped out. At least share it, guys. I mean,
this helps a lot.
Share it, right? If you can't do it, and we get it. There's a lot of campaigns out there. There's a lot of friends, a lot of great stuff. And if you can't support it, share it, guys. Share it on your social media. Have your friends. If you got some big shot friends, people with really good, strong social media, reach. Share it, tag them in it, and say, hey, can you check this out? Would you mind sharing it? I mean, this is there's a lot of great concepts, and this is one of the best ones we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
thanks, man.
Fantastic.
You'll make Mr. James Franco really happy.
Oh, yeah.
And Travis, brilliant concept, bro.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I love that, man.
Thanks.
Amazing.
And it's beautiful books we've seen.
Yeah, we've had some great. There's been, if you guys get a chance, you rewatch the video, check out some of the chats that are in there. Some great compliments on the books. We've had the privilege of having Mr. Ethan Van Sciver in the chat joining us tonight. Mr. Peter Samedi, who is going to be our guest tomorrow night. So we'll be talking episode 48, Peter Samedi, Alternoween #2, Newsprint's Revenge, which is, I don't know if you guys, if Travis and Roger are familiar with this, but what Peter does is he does an Indiegogo for basically bundles of books and other things from Alterna Comics, which is his publishing company. And instead of going out and buying candy to give to kids on Halloween here, you can give out comic books. They're all age comics. You can buy different things. I told my wife, I'm like, we're doing it. I'm giving out some comics this year, so I'm going to be backing that to get some of his books. And I don't know, growing up, and I'm sure, we're of similar ages here, a lot of the books, it was all just, newsprint, newsprint style paper. And that's what Peter's doing. And he's doing it in making comics, great comics that are so affordable. And the content's awesome. And newsprint's come a long way, come a real long way. So it's really cool to see. So, hopefully if you guys have time, join us in the chat tomorrow. On the show. And Peter is very knowledgeable. He's a great guest to have. He's a good friend of the show. And we just did a panel with him, at Terrificon. So it was a good time.
He's a great marketer, too.
He is. Yes, he's a great marketer.
So
yeah, that's the key. Great marker. We need to market all the time.
And Travis, man, real quick before we sign off, how can everyone follow what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. So if you go on our Blue Bastion Indiegogo page, all our links are there. I'm also on Instagram. I post from behind a special account called #1Fan right here. If you want to check me out, I don't know if you can see it. I post 3 pieces of art a day here and then promote all my stuff. It's kind of a lot posting 3 pieces of art a day, but it's been kind of fun trying to do it for a year. I've been doing it for, 125 days now.
Nice.
It's all, and I only post art from people who I've talked to on Instagram, and they've told me it's okay. So I reach out to them. I say, hey, can I repost your stuff? They say yes. And I've worked with 5 additional artists who I met this way. And if you're an artist and you want me to repost your stuff, hit me up there. Otherwise, you can find me TE_Marshall on Instagram on my normal account. And I have the #1fan on Twitter right here at the #1fan.
That's terrific. Well, you got three artists right here. So I'm not going to speak for them, but this guy right here on Long Island is giving you permission to, repost any of his stuff if you'd like.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, very good.
So guys, thanks a lot for the invite. Billy Tucci is a hero for me. I bought a comic book. It was a mix. I think it was Cyblade.
Ooh, Cyblade She?
Yeah.
Cyblade She from Mark Sylvester, and I have this copy. I tried to find, but I have so many comic books there, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, next
But
year.
I have here.
Well, next year is the 25th anniversary of that book, and we're planning something really special.
Ah, nice. Please
I
do
might
a
pull it up
crowdfunding company.
too, though.
Nice.
Yeah, looking forward to that, man.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Hey, Nile, we kind of did it. I mean, we only went an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're getting better.
Nice.
We're streamlining, and we're starting to get this thing. So
Yeah.
thank you, guys. This was wonderful. Great luck with it. Please come back on. All right, Travis,
Thanks.
you know what I mean? When you're ready, anytime you want. All right, buddy?
Yeah, you guys once you're on once, man, you're part of the crowdfunding family. If you got anything, this and that, or you know someone who wants to be on and you want to help host it with us, let us know. Shoot an email, shoot a message, whatever you guys want to do. So again, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Let's give it a hand for Mr. Travis Marshall, Mr. Rod Luper. You guys are fantastic creators doing an amazing thing, creating an awesome world, and we really appreciate you guys coming on. So everyone, we're going to see you tomorrow night with our next guest, Mr. Peter Samedi, talking Alternoween, Newsprint's Revenge, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. So, everyone, yes.
Share it, pledge if you can. I mean, we got some really super talented, great guests here.
Yes.
So please, let's support each other. It's a great community. This is an age of self-publishing. So much new, exciting things going on. So join us.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
Super Looper saying goodbye.
Super Looper is out.
Super Looper is out.
Very busy, but we're sharing him. If you get our highest tier, he's going to do some commissions too.
Oh yeah. On the higher tier, I will do special commission art.
Actually, the high tiers go. They're all very special. They're all very limited. Usually, like I said, that he's doing commissions. They're one of a kind, and they really help out the most too. Is those big ones that come in and they can just really knock the hell out of it.
For sure.
Oh.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, and we will see you tomorrow night. So long, everyone.
Thanks.
See ya. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell. You may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdfundComics with an X, Instagram, Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.